And I understand the Civil War News did a survey that said most readers of the genre prefer nonfiction books
Yes.
to fictional. With that knowledge, was this daunting to you to write this type of book?
Well, I wrote the type of book that I like to read, and I hope that there would be lots of other people out there. I think women tend to prefer historical fiction. They want a story. Men tend to prefer nonfiction, but my readers have been split exactly 50-50 male-female, which I think is amazing. And they range from age 11 to 99, so there's something for everyone.
Absolutely. And how long did it take you to write the book?
It took about 5 years, the whole project.
Wow.
Yeah.
You mentioned children, and my next question, being a teacher, is very relevant. Many kids in school today, all the way up the line, even into high school, really can't even pinpoint when the Civil War was fought, let alone where Culpeper may be, or Fredericksburg may be, or Gettysburg for that matter. How do you feel about that as a historian, as a writer now of the Civil War, and how would you change that in teaching history in the high school level, for instance?
Well, I think it's appalling what they don't learn. I don't know if there's not enough time to teach it to them. They sort of get a one-sided version from the history books. I've been delighted that so many teenagers have really been enthralled with marching through Culpeper, and I got a letter from one man that said, "Thank you for awakening a passion for history in my teenage daughter." So you have to bring it to life for them, I think, to get them really excited about it. I think parents who take their children to the battlefields, get them started, as you mentioned, when you were a child, you know, to get that hands-on type of history, that's what they need. But I am getting good response from young people.
You mentioned bringing it to light, humanizing it.
Humanizing it, yes.
Did the series The Civil War, which I believe Ken Burns produced, did that have any impact on your delving into this project? Because that really humanized much of the history for the average American citizen who may not give thought to the Civil War. Did that have any impact on you?
Actually, no. I didn't see it until after I was well into the project. I enjoyed it, but it didn't you know, have the impact. I was well into it before I saw that.
Now, the other question I want to ask you is, you do a lot of walking tours of the battlefields. As we were chatting off camera, you've visited numerous battlefields, not only in Virginia, but other places. There's been a tremendous fight that's been going on actually for years, but of late very serious, between the developers and the preservationists. I believe there was a large one up in Manassas recently that involved Disney.
Yeah.
What is your feeling on that? And with the encroachment on the battlefields, where do you see this going?
I think the time to preserve is now. I said in my book that the enemy marching towards Culpeper from the north is urban sprawl, and all the battlegrounds are facing that. We need to preserve now, and that was one of my motivations for writing this book, to make people realize it's now or never.
Now, what would you tell the person who would say, why? Is there really a need? This is something that was horrific in our history. Why preserve these battlefields? You know, the same moniker that you know, they use in Europe. Why preserve a Second World War battlefield? This was a horrible event. Isn't it better just to take this land and do some good with it?
I think you have to know who we are today. You have to understand the past. It's critical. And this war changed this country more than anything else. It was the most horrific event that ever happened. 620,000 men died. Another 400,000 were maimed for life. So it was the most tragic event that ever took place in this country. And to forget the men who fought, no. You know, we need to understand them and what they went through and learn from it. And we need to preserve more open space in this country. So why not preserve our most historic, hallowed ground?
And the next question, segueing into another topic, is people would say relevancy of the Civil War today. Do you think it's relevant to what's going on today?
It is absolutely relevant. You know, we're looking at terrorism, we're looking at wars now on our TV, but that happened in our country, you know, during the Civil War. That's what happened in Culpeper. They didn't know from one day to the next who was going to be in charge of their town, or who was going to be dead or alive. So it is very, very relevant. I think people are seeing it as more relevant than they have.
Another question would be, what's going on in South Carolina of late? You know, I'm sure you're aware with the issues of the flag over the State Dome, and it's brought up the fervor of the Civil War and the historical facts and values of that flag to American history. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that the citizens of South Carolina, you know, should make that decision. I think that Confederate heritage should not be obliterated. It's very much a part of our history, and it's very important to these people and to this country, and we need to tell the full story.
And with South Carolina in mind, as we chatted off camera, there's a real strong vein in your book to South Carolina.
Yes,
there's actually
there
a
is.
pivotal character.
Yes.
And we want to chat about him because there's a tremendous amount going on with him now. He's actually being reinterred, I believe, in
He has
South
been
Carolina.
reinterred. This is a Confederate scout, Will Farley, from Lawrence, South Carolina. He was probably Jeb Stuart's best scout. And he was mortally wounded in Culpeper at the Battle of Brandy Station, buried in the plot of a local family rather than the mass grave, but his request was to be buried at home. So last year he was reinterred in Lawrence, and I was very involved in that wonderful project. I helped preserve his gravesite in Culpeper because so many people were visiting it. But we also put a duplicate marker at his new grave in Lawrence, so he's remembered in both states now.
Wonderful. And I also want to mention that you've got a couple of programs coming up. One is the Petticoat Power in New Orleans. In the short time we have left, you're involved in so many things. We can sit here for another hour, but you're actually the historian on that particular trip, correct?
I am. This is a History America Mississippi Riverboat cruise from New Orleans to Vicksburg and back, focusing on women in the Civil War. Their first ever tour focusing on women, so I'm proud of that. I also conduct walking tours of the town of Culpeper and tours of the two battlefields there by appointment. So I'm busy with tours, and it's great fun. The book is bringing people to Culpeper.
Well, I would encourage everybody to come to Culpeper and look you up and listen to you speak, because you're a wealth of knowledge, and the book is fantastic. It is Marching Through Culpeper. I want to thank my guest, Virginia B. Morton, for joining us tonight. And the book is available at Barnes & Noble and is also available on our website, which is www.edgehillbooks.com. The toll-free number is 800-431-1579. Marching Through Culpeper, a consuming epic novel in the Civil War, and just a fantastic read. For Books and Authors, I'm Chris O'Donnell. Good night.